They then set up a real estate company and gobble up over $40 million worth of prime downtown Toronto real estate. They also pay members of the Prime Minister's immediate family cash for speaking engagements.
Today on the Commons, we actually have something new. Of course, we have the We questions, which you'll all no doubt be excited to hear. But there's also a $41,000 trip that the Finance Minister Morneau apparently took and was going to talk about it. Well, watch
in
this.
In 2017, the Liberal government paid over $13,000 to the We organization to help secure the appearances of Canadian talent at We California that year. One of the speakers at the event was Canadian Lily Singh, who in 2015 called the Prime Minister her dashing Prime Minister on Facebook and proclaimed to have a hashtag man crush on Instagram. This begs the question, how many friends of the Prime Minister have been paid by taxpayers thanks to his government's relationship with the We organization?
Well, Minister.
Madam Speaker, these questions that are being posed, and I'm not sure where they're going, we'll make sure that that information is available. I was at committee. I said that we would make as much information available as possible. The clerk was there yesterday. He also committed to making that information available. But let's talk about Canadians. Let's talk about our Canadian friends. Since June 28th, 8.16 million individuals received the CERB. 3 million employees received the CEWS. 3.7 million families benefited from the CCB top-up of $300. 12 million individuals and families received a special one-time payment through the GST credit. Over $1.4 billion to over 6,000 students through the CESB. We will deliver for Canadians during this.
Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies. Completely or substantially underfunded? A short answer from the Minister.
Madam Speaker, there's a really long question from the member, but I would like to say that what is clear is that we have put out a suite of programs to respond to the very challenging and unprecedented time. And when it comes to the suite of programs for students, it's no exception. Exactly. And what we did with the student measures is ensure that they were stackable, recognizing that the expenses in the fall for post-secondary are high. Every step of the way since we've been responding to this pandemic, we have continued to listen and engage and course correct. The Canada Summer Jobs Program that has become a success because the changes that our government made was actually to encourage employers to hire students. And how we actually encourage students to hire students was by increasing the wages to 100%.
The Honourable.
I would advise not to swear, but this is nothing short of a gaggle frenzy. Soldiers speak, and they red flagging veterans probably happens all the way through police and everything like that. But at a federal level, they're red flagging veterans now. We don't get an answer.
Thank you, Chair. On June 15th, I asked the Minister of Veterans Affairs if he was aware of the practice of red flagging veterans' files, and his response was, I am not aware. And yet, 2 weeks earlier, June 2nd, he signed a letter thanking veteran Shane Jones for emails that included ATIP information that confirmed he was having issues with VAC because of a red flag on his files. I'd like to ask again, is the Minister aware of the practice of red flagging veterans' files?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I appreciate my honourable colleague's question. The focus on Veterans Affairs is and always is the care, compassion and respect for veterans and their families. I obviously cannot speak about specific issues, but I would be happy to discuss this with my honourable colleague at any time. Thank you, Madam.
The Honourable Member for Yorkton Melville.
We lost some time there. Are veterans informed when a flag is placed on their file?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Chair, I did not hear the question.
Could you please repeat?
Are veterans informed when a flag is placed on their file?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Chair, as I indicated quite clearly to my honourable colleague, it's not a place to discuss issues like this that concerns security. I would be very pleased to discuss this with my colleague at any time, but what we always have to focus on is the
for Yorkton.
Are veteran services and funding impacted by a flag on their file?
Well, Minister.
I apologize, Madam Chair, but I did not hear the question.
Can we stop the clock for a second? There is a problem, actually, when the member starts speaking, the mics light up, but the sound isn't yet on. So we have to give it a few seconds just for you to actually to be heard. I don't hear it as well here either. So if we just give it, I'm sorry, but it's not just a question of, no, it's 1 or 2 seconds. Just enough for the sound to be projected to the mics and that all of us can hear it. And I'll ask the member to repeat the question and the minister to answer it, please. And I haven't cut you any time.
Are veteran services and funding impacted by a flag on? But the light is on, ma'am. How am I to know when you can hear me?
Give it 1 second, too. Please, can you start the question again? There.
Are veteran services and funding impacted by a flag on their file?
Well, Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And again, I can tell my honourable colleague that we always deal with veterans, their care, compassion, and full respect to make sure.
Member for Yorkton Melville.
Can a flag be removed?
Can you?
Yes, I indicated.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. My honourable colleague, I feel it's not the place to discuss this issue at all. I mean, we have to be careful and make sure that security.
Well, member for Yorkton Melville.
When cleared of wrongdoing, should a veteran have to hire a lawyer to have a flag removed?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And again, I would tell my honourable colleague that when issues of this need to be discussed clear of the House of Commons, what we want to do is make sure that we deliver care, compassion.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Skyview.
Madam Speaker.
So the minister's saying that they are red flagging them, but they don't want to tell the public, the people of Canada, what they're doing behind the scenes red flagging. There was this CBC reporting about this veteran who had to sue about his red flagging on his file, while this son of a military member who killed someone was receiving government-funded PTSD talk, whatever. This is just, but anyway, we're going to go back to the we subject. That seems like it's a whole huge quagmire that we're never going to hear about. It's so buried deep. We're going to have to dig deep into it. Maybe Canada Land will. And here is yet again Chagger going on a tangent.
Bring kicking and screaming along the entire way, Mr. Speaker? It was the Conservatives. So it's kind of interesting that they're having these questions today. Yes, programs and policies and legislation is in place. There are acts that are followed. We have offices of Parliament so that they can get to the bottom of this and get this information. We will ensure that we stay focused on Canadians, and any information that Canadians and members are looking for, we have been more than willing to provide. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Pursuant to order made on Tuesday, May 26th. Point of order.
Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, there's a serious problem with the sound system in here because I asked whether or not the Public Health Agency of Canada had why they put a contract out to weed during the election period, and the minister thought I said the Privy Council office, which was yesterday. So I asked that the sound system be corrected, bring back Parliament in its entirety, better yet, and dispel virtual voting.
Do sponsored travel while one is in cabinet. And the minister just paid back the expenses for that trip today, on the day that he was scheduled to testify before the Finance Committee. I'm wondering if the Liberal member across the way would have any comments about how she feels about such a blatant contravention of the rules with her Finance Minister.
Member for Canada, Carleton.
I'd like to thank the honourable member for that question. I don't have an answer. I don't know the whole story. I mean, and I think it's very important that we actually be transparent, and that Canadians need to be able to trust in their government. No, please. I am trying to respond respectfully to the question, and I think we should be able to have these kind of difficult discussions without antagonizing each other. It's key. We know it's key. And I think that it's important for us to actually accept and talk about these things respectfully. Thank you.
Questions and comments? The Honourable Member for Hamilton Centre.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And it's been reported that this trip had a price tag of around $41,000. And I can't help but think, through you, Mr. Speaker, how many veterans that would have helped, how many people who are living in deep poverty that are disabled that would have helped. And we heard in the previous speaker's comments about trying to get money out the door as fast as they can. Mr. Speaker, this government had the opportunity to do that. Had they have applied CERB universally to all people who needed it during this time, without restraint, without delay, then we wouldn't be 4 months into this crisis with people needing it the most, still struggling to get by. So through you, Mr. Speaker, to the honourable member, if it is $40,000 on this trip, how does the honourable member feel about a minister taking a $40,000 trip at a time when people are struggling to get by and Liberals are patting themselves on the back for a $600 one-time donation to the most vulnerable Canadians?
The Honourable Member for Canada Carleton.
Thank you for the question. And, you know, this was an unprecedented crisis, and it really demanded a response that was unique, that depended upon our agility and our ingenuity to make it happen. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Nothing ever done in this ever is. But we have served, like, when you talk about CERB, it's somewhere between 8 and 9 million people. When you talk about the wage subsidy, it's another 3 million people. When you talk about getting GST credits out there, that's more people. And I think that was our aim, to help as many people as we possibly could through this crisis. Things will change because we're learning as we're going through this, but helping people was our first priority. Thank you.
Kicking and screaming along the entire...
Well, I believe that last MP was sincere in actually trying to get the truth out, because we keep hearing there actually is a real rift starting in the Liberal Party about transparency and, well, the lack of transparency and the lack of real ethics. Leave your comments below and have a good day. Stay tuned for another.